Hey y'all, today is Tuesday, September 21st, and we are working on a lesson 2-1 review. So we are reviewing what you learned yesterday, and this is a hint, hint, wink, wink video that will get you ready for that little 5-question Sabbath quiz. So pay attention and follow along on your paper. So number 1, Bill runs 6 miles in 1.3 hours. Jacob runs 4 miles in 50 minutes, or 0.83 repeating hours. Who runs faster? Okay, so we're going to compare Bill to Jacob, and we're going to have to find their unit rate. How fast do they run just 1 mile? But what I noticed is that I got 1.3 hours right here and 50 minutes right here. So I actually want to change this 1.3 hours to minutes. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my calculator, and I'm going to take 1.3 and I'm going to multiply that times 60. So 1.3 hours times 60 minutes is going to give me the number of minutes that Bill is able to run 6 miles in. And when I put that in my calculator, I get 78 minutes. Okay, so now we can write a unit rate. So let's start with Bill. Bill runs 6 miles in 78 minutes. Well, what is his speed for 1 mile, or how long does it take him to run 1 mile? Well, to go from 6 to 1, I'm dividing by 6. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. 78 divided by 6, and when I put that in my calculator, I get 13. So Bill runs at a pace of 1 mile in 13 minutes. Okay, now let's talk about Jacob. Okay, so it tells us that Jacob runs 4 miles in 50 minutes. So put our time on the top and our number of miles on the bottom. So I want to know, how fast does he run just 1 mile? Well, to go from 4 to 1, I'm dividing by 4. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. And 50 divided by 4, when I put that into my calculator, I get 12.5. 12.5. So Jacob runs 1 mile in 12 and a half minutes. So who runs faster? Well, I'm comparing those two blue highlighted unit rates, and 12.5 is less than 13. So Jacob runs faster. And that would be my answer right there. Moving on to number 2. A group of 10 students is deciding whether to go to the movie theater or the art museum. Movie theater tickets are five for $56.75. And art museum tickets are 2 for $21.50. How much will a group of 10 students save by choosing the art museum? Okay, so we're going to write two rates and compare them. So first up is the movie theater. Oops. And it appears at the movie theater they can get a deal. 5 tickets for $56.75. So $56.75 over 5 is our rate. But we know that we have a group of 10 students attending, right? So I want to know, how much would they pay for 10 students? So I'm going to ask myself, how do I go from 5 to 10? Well, I'm going to multiply times 2. And if I do that on the bottom, I have to do that on the top as well. So in my calculator, I type 56.75 times 2, and I get 113.5. But because we're talking about money, I know it's $113.50. Okay, remember, this one is talking about money. So 10 students can go to the movie theater for $113.50. Now let's talk about the art museum. Okay, so the deal at the art museum is 2 tickets for $21.50. So We want to know how much they would pay for the group of 10 to go to the art museum. So how do I go from 2 to 10? Well, I multiply times 5. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. So I'm going to put in my calculator 21.50 times 5, and I'm going to get 107.5. But we know we're talking about money, right? So it's really $107.50. So the group of 10 students goes to the art museum for $107.50. It is cheaper. And the question was asking, how much will a group of 10 students save by choosing the art museum? So I'm going to take this amount and I'm going to subtract that amount from it. So $113.50 to go to the movies minus $107.50 to go to the art museum. When I put that in my calculator, or if I do it by hand, no matter how you do it, you're going to get $6. They will save $6 by going to the art museum. Okay, moving on to number 3. Cecilia and Todd are telemarketers. Yesterday, Cecilia reached 6 people in 10 phone calls, while Todd reached 8 people in 15 phone calls. If each telemarketer continues at the same rate, who will reach more people in 60 calls? Well, let's write down some information about Cecilia. Okay, so we know that Cecilia reached 6 people in 10 phone calls, right? So 6 people in 10 calls. But the question is, who will reach more people in 60 calls? So the number of calls is on the bottom, so who will reach more people in 60 calls? So how do I go from 10 to 60? Well, I multiply times 6, right? So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. So 6 times 6 is going to be 36. So if Cecilia continues at this same rate, she'll reach 36 people in 60 phone calls. Now let's talk about Todd. So it tells us that Todd reaches 8 people in 15 phone calls. So 8 people in 15 phone calls. But we want to know how many people he'll reach if he makes 60 phone calls. So how do I go from 15 to 60? What am I multiplying by? I'm multiplying by 4, exactly. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top as well. 8 times 4 is 32. So if Todd continues at the same rate, he'll reach 32 people in 60 phone calls. So the question is, who will reach more people in 60 phone calls? Well, the answer is Cecilia. Cecilia will reach more people. Okay, moving on to number 4. What is a unit rate? And I actually want you to put a star next to this question because you definitely have one just like this on your little Savas quiz. So first of all, I want to talk about what is a rate. Okay, we didn't really talk about this yesterday, so I think this will help you understand unit rates better too. A rate is a ratio. And remember, ratios look like fractions that compares two different quantities. A rate is a ratio that compares two different quantities. So then now let's talk about a unit rate. A unit rate is a rate that relates a quantity to one. A unit rate is a rate that relates a quantity to 1. And this is important right there. Because remember, we talked yesterday about how the denominator is always 1. So in a unit rate, the denominator is always 1 because that rate relates a quantity back to 1. So information about unit rates that is helpful, or reasons why they are helpful. They can be used to compare two rates. So for example, when I'm at the grocery store and I'm trying to decide if I want the 16-ounce bag of potato chips or the 20-ounce bag of potato chips, I might look at the unit rate. So for example, a 16-ounce bag of chips might be sold for $4.96, while a 20-ounce bag of potato chips is sold for $5.80. So by finding the unit rate, how much the chips cost per ounce, I'm able to get a better deal, a better bargain. So also, one thing I want you to know is that any rate is equivalent to its unit rate. Any rate is equivalent to its unit rate. And to emphasize that, let's talk about problem number 1. Let's look at Bill. So his rate is that he runs 6 miles in 78 minutes. But that really means that his unit rate is that he can run 1 mile in 13 minutes. But this rate right here is equivalent to this rate right here. They simplify to the same thing. So do keep that in mind for question number 4. Okay, last question, number 5. Machine A pops 15.75 ounces of popcorn in 5 minutes. Machine B pops 13 ounces of popcorn in 4 minutes. If each machine pops popcorn for 12 minutes, will there be enough popcorn for 9 9-ounce bags? Explain. Okay, so first of all, one of the things that I notice is that we need 9 9-ounce bags. Well, that just means 9 times 9, which is 81 ounces. That's how much popcorn we're going to need from both machine A and machine B working together, right? So let's start with machine A. So machine A pops 15.75 ounces of popcorn in 5 minutes. So that's going to be our rate. So 15.75 over 5. But I want to know how much popcorn it pops in 12 minutes. And I can't really go from 5 to 12 through multiplication. So what I am going to do is find the unit rate first. How much does it pop in just 1 minute? And so to go from 5 to 1, I know I'm dividing by 5. So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. So in my calculator, I'm going to type 15.75 divided by 5. And when I put that in my calculator, I get 3.15. Okay? So what's important about this rate right here is that is our unit rate. It relates our quantity to 1. So machine A pops 3.15 ounces of popcorn in 1 minute. But the question was, we need to know if in 12 minutes we'll have enough popcorn. So I need to figure out how much machine A will pop in 12 minutes. So how do I go from 1 to 12? Well, I simply multiply times 12. So I'm going to do that on the top and bottom. So in my calculator, I type 3.15 times 12, and I get 37.8. So that right there is really, really important. We know that in 12 minutes, machine A pops 37.8 ounces of popcorn. Let's look at machine B. Okay, machine B pops 13 ounces of popcorn in 4 minutes. So, 13 ounces of popcorn in 4 minutes. Now, we want to know ultimately how much popcorn this machine will pop in 12 minutes. Could I totally bypass this step right here? Can I go straight to 12? Yes, I can. I know that I can multiply 4 times 3 to get to 12. So I'm just going to bypass the unit rate because we don't need to know which machine pops more per minute. So we're going to bypass the unit rate and go straight to 12 minutes. Like we said, we're multiplying times 3 on the bottom, so we'll do the same on the top. And 13 times 3, if you put that in your calculator, you're going to get 39. So machine B pops 39 ounces of popcorn in 12 minutes. So now all I need to do is I need to add 37.8 plus 39 together. And I can do that in my calculator, or I can do that by hand. So 37.8 plus 39. When you add that together, you're going to get 76.8. So we're going to have 76.8 ounces of popcorn total. But the question is that enough? Is 76.8 ounces of popcorn enough? And going back to what we said at the very beginning, 9 9-ounce bags is 81 ounces. So no, this is not enough popcorn.